Hello, my friends. I'm holding in my hand this wonderful issue from National Geographic. The brain, discover the ways your mind works. So, it's a very interesting title that leads to a lot of queries. Discover. Who discovers the ways your mind works? What is it that says my mind or your mind? And why is the brain the source of all this discovery? So, as usual, even though this is a beautiful article that basically lays out the neural correlates of human experience, it actually does not address the hard problem of consciousness, even though it tries to. I mean, here it says the importance of illusions and kind of suggests that perceptual activity produces an illusory world. It also goes on to discuss what we call the problems of consciousness. Of course, when it talks about the problems of consciousness, it talks mostly about conscious experiences and not consciousness without an object of experience, or what we call pure consciousness. So let's get to the heart of this whole problem, which, the philosophers called the hard problem of consciousness, a phrase very popular now because of the philosopher David Chalmers. Here's the issue. The hard problem of consciousness only exists if you have the assumption that matter is fundamental and that experience is somehow produced by matter. The matter, in this case, being the nervous system and the brain and so on. So, of course, when we look for matter, we don't find it. All we find is perceptual activity, which is a modification of our awareness as that particular perceived object. But that perceived object is not an object, it's an experience. And as I've said many times before, species-specific and culture-specific interpretation of a perceptual activity, which is in consciousness or awareness itself. So this is a very, very important point, because all of our science is based on subject-object split. I, as the body-mind, am the subject of experience. And this magazine, as a piece of paper, is the object of experience. Or I, as the body-mind, am the subject of experience, and everything else, including this watch, everything around me, is out there, the object of experience. I am here, everything else is out there. And of course, you have the same experience, right? If I ask you, where are you? You'd say, I'm here, meaning there's someone inside you looking at the world, which is outside you. There's an inside you, which is personal, and it is the body-mind with all your internal experience, your thoughts, your feelings, your emotions, your desires, your instincts, your drives, your imagination, your creativity. And then there's something out there which is quite different from who you are. And I am here, the world is out there. You think, of course, that you are what you call here, and the world is out there. I'm out there. Now, let's look at this a little carefully. Where is any experience happening? Where's the experience of seeing happening? The experience of seeing happening. Where is that experience called seeing happening? It's not happening in your eyes. If it were, you would see two of me upside down and curved, 9 centimeters apart, and about this size by this size, because your retina is curved, your eyes are 10 centimeters apart, and your eyes about 2.5 centimeters by 2.5 centimeters. Whatever is happening in the eyes is not an experience that you are having, you. And then, of course, impulses of electricity are going to your brain, and there's electrochemical activity in the brain that corresponds to the seeing, but there's no experience happening in the brain either. So where is the experience happening? Where is the experience happening right now for what I call I or me, of this body-mind, of everything around this body-mind and all the objects, some objects that seem to be still and some objects that are sentient beings that seem to be moving. And where is that experience happening? All of it at the same time. And the best answer is it's happening here. Here means out here. But out here is what? Empty space. Empty space. The space is empty, and yet it is full of possibilities. And it is this space that is modifying itself into the experience that the I am is calling Deepak Chopra, and the experience the I am is calling everything else. But it's all happening at the same time as the modifications of this space into species and culture-specific activities that are perceptual and cognitive, with certain perceptual and cognitive constraints that limit the boundaries or create the boundaries of experience. And once those boundaries of experience are created, then we suddenly have the whole theater of space-time and causality. And that includes everything: brains, minds, bodies, objects, everything from a Higgs boson to the Milky Way galaxy, all modifications of awareness, this or that, but all simultaneously co-arising in the matrix of being. So, who am I? I am the Chitakash that is modifying itself as this, all that's going on here, and as all this. Who are you? You are the Chitakash. And the Chitakash is formless. And being formless, it's infinite and borderless. It's irreducible. It has no location in space-time, or simultaneously all locations in space-time. It does not have a beginning nor an ending because it's timeless, you know. So this leads to some very interesting conclusions that are very much part of the teaching of Vedanta. The first is, if you can see it, touch it, taste it, smell it, comprehend it, conceptualize it, think about it, imagine it, feel it, touch it, taste it, smell it, it's a temporary fluctuation of the I am. The I am cannot be seen. It is not comprehensible. It is borderless, has no location, and yet is all locations. both in space and time. And it's right here, in this space, the Chitakash, modifying itself in this theater of space-time and causality. Who am I? I'm this Chitakash in which all this is arising and subsiding. This, all this. Who are you? Same Chitakash, experiencing itself as the body mind that you give a name to. You said that's me. And then other body minds that you give a name to as that, but they're all in the interweaving matrix of being that is arising and subsiding as space-time events that include every conceivable and perceptual object. But the object is not an object. It is a modified form of the self. The self that is you, but the self that is also me, and the self that is the total universe. The self that is awareness, from a Higgs boson to innumerable trillions of galaxies and innumerable countless stars and innumerable countless planets and innumerable sentient beings, all in the matrix of one being. Matrix, Mata, Matrika, Mother, Mata, Mother, the womb of creation. You and I are the womb of creation, in which the whole universe arises and subsides instantly at lightning speed in timeless now. Everything else is conceptual. The real reality is I am now and I am here. And of course, there's another me that was in the past, but that was also experienced in I am now and I am here. There's possibly another me that will arise in the future, not almost possibly, almost certainly. And that is another version of me that will arise in the future. But whatever the past me was, it was experienced in now here. I am now and I am here. And whatever the future, when it arises, it will be experienced in now here. And what is now here? Now here is now here as this, and all this, and here. And where did it come from? What we call nowhere. Nowhere means no location in space or time, non-local. Nowhere becomes now here. Who am I? I am the Chitakash in no location and all locations. Where am I? Nowhere and everywhere. And what am I? I am the infinite awareness that comes from nowhere and suddenly appears now here. When am I? At all times or at no time. Interesting, isn't it? That's why when Indians who are somehow culturally brought up in the non-dual traditions, upon death, one of the chants or phrases that is frequently uttered is the real self is borderless, timeless, not physical, invisible, Water cannot wet it, wind cannot dry it, weapons cannot shatter it, fire cannot burn it. It's ancient, it's unborn. It has no beginning and no ending, and it's you. If we shift our identity from in here to out here, soon you'll realize that there is total freedom, because it is here that this shows up and everything else shows up simultaneously. This and everything else go together. This and everything else go together. They are correlated activities of the one being as infinite knowers, almost innumerable knowers, innumerable modes of knowing, and innumerable so-called objects known, but they're all the self organizing itself as observer, observed, and that which is observing, the act of observing. The observer is frequently, in the old days with Maharishi, and we used to call the observer Rishi, the mode of observation, Devata, the divine experience of knowing, and then Chandas, that which appears as an object or an idea or a thought or a feeling or an image or a form on the screen of consciousness. We are all of that. I am that, you are that, all this is that, that alone is Tattvamasi, Aham Brahmasmi. They all point to the same deeper understanding. And once we have the experience of that understanding, we are liberated from all human suffering. That's the key to all humans, to the liberation from all human suffering. Not this intellectual idea, but this experience. I'm always here and I'm always now. Okay. More another time.